It's not. Can't hear. Hello, hello, hello. I am Monica Henderson, and I am so excited to be here, your host for Mink Life Motivation Live. Today, we have a awesome show for you lined up. So let's dive right in. To help us talk about the conversation today, what's happening? To help us talk about the conversation today, we are going to really look at how you're strategizing for maximum profits. And we're going to do that with our co-host, Andrea Gerwertz. She is the Wellness Thrive strategist and also at Wellbeing and Worth. She is also a Mink Life Motivation Master Trainer and the Dean of Mink Life University. Hey, girl, hey. And also we have our other co-host, who is Peggy MacArthur. She is the owner and photographer at Headshots by Peggy. She is also a headshot strategist and a Mink Life Motivation trainer for the Brand Builder. Lovely to see you in your house. High fivesies.
I think.
And also, Adil will be joining us. We're having technical issues, but he is the development consultant and a founder of Easily, I think is how you pronounce that. He is also a coach and a coach of coaches and a sleep coffee drinker, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
Yeah, I was like, what is that?
And also, we have Lorraine O'Shea, who is one of our co-guest hosts, and she is a life and business coach at Elevate Coaching. She is a mindset coach and a master manifester, which we can't wait to hear all about. And last but not least, it's you. You are our co-host as well. So feel free to chime in the chat. Hey, #live, answer anything, say hello, let us know that you are there in support of what we're doing. Tell us we're crazy, all of those things, just put it in the chat. For instance, Rina has already chimed in and said hello. Yes, sirree. So we are going to get this party started by diving into our first topic of the day, which is going to help us understand a little bit more about, sorry, I am learning how to use this thing, guys, on the fly. Oh yeah, we're going to get motivated. Woo-hoo. That's right. So in doing that, we are going to hear our first question, which is, why is strengthening your business processes so important? And we're going to have our guest go first, if you will. Why is strengthening your business processes so important? Lorraine, go ahead.
Yes, of course. Well, I feel like it creates a plan or a strategy for going forward. So, by putting those processes in place initially, it gives you a plan to work from. I know for myself, I suppose it's about something very, very simple, like making lists and working from that, but, prioritizing the most important things first and working from there would be my interpretation of it.
Awesome. Andrea, what about you? Why is strengthening your business processes so important?
Well, first and foremost, I think without systems in your business, it's hard for your business to scale. It's hard for it to grow. I think that it's also hard for you to it's part of growing. Being able to share your systems with the people that work under you, that if they're not strong, then the people that work with you or for you are unable to fulfill the mission with you, right? So having them, knowing what they do, why they're there, and getting everyone on board with them, that's one of the parts of strengthening them is really fundamental to being in business and having one that's, sustainable over a long period of time.
Yeah, so I'm still trying to figure these things out.
I'm too big on the screen.
There we are. We're there again. Peggy, what about you? Why is strengthening your business important for your business processes?
So I think business processes and having a system to do everything. Um, I always felt like I was very systematic in the way I ran my business until I met Monica. And then I realized I was just a bum. Uh, Monica has a system for everything, and it just, everything runs so smoothly and quickly. You don't waste time. And I am, I think when you run your own business and you've got all these things going on, it's hard to separate business from life and family anyway. So when you have your processes in order, it cuts down on that time that you can go out and, even if it's just grocery shopping, you have time to do that because everything else with your business is running systematically, and it's all there. It's all taken care of. And I know one of my favorite things now is having everything automated, where even if I am out, I can grab my phone and I can still take care of little hiccups because there's a system in place. So time.
Yes, business processes is one of my favorite parts. I am such a geek about business processes. I love systemizing things. I love processes. I love having things be in order. It's like my own kind of mind, kind of processing. But what most people run from is taking that time to strengthen their business processes, and because they're so busy, right? And it almost feels like that's like counterintuitive to stop for a second and stop doing stuff so that you can get these things in order. But the reason why it's so important that you stop and you actually put those systems into place is because when you go back to do it, it creates my favorite word, which is efficiency. And efficiency is huge. It gives you all of your time back. You can spend time doing the things that you love instead of the things that suck in your business. And it really gives you an opportunity to just be in the flow. So the reason why it's so important is because you don't want to spend time doing stuff you don't want to do. And so you might as well just go ahead and take the time to really maximize how you're using your business processes. So we are, curious a little bit about our friend Lorraine here. Lorraine, this is her first time on the show, so we're so happy you're here. And when I ask people to come on the show, I'm like, hey, give us one fun fact. And Andrea and Peggy have not met Lorraine before today, so they don't know. But her fun fact is that she's a manifester extraordinaire. And I love your fun fact because I heavily identify with the fun fact, as I did the same thing. But I want you to share your fun fact with us. What happened? How did that work?
Yeah, so I mean, when you actually asked about my fun fact, it's something that popped into my head. But funnily enough, and I'll probably just go from there. So yeah, so Monica asked me about my fun fact, and I thought, well, one of the main things about me, one of the most fascinating things about me from my friend's perspective is the fact that I have been single for years and years and just never ever met anybody. Now this probably all sounds like hooey, but it actually did happen. So I had just kind of resigned myself to the fact that, I would be single for forever, not in a negative way, but I was quite accepting of that. But this time last year, when COVID kicked in, and I thought, my goodness, is this really what I want for my life? But I said, no, it's not. This is it. I'm going to take action, take my life into my own hands. And I said, right, before the next lockdown kicks in, it was in between lockdowns around September time last year. I said, right, I'm going to find somebody. I'm going out, I'm going to meet somebody before the next lockdown kicks in, which I didn't realize what length of time I had, but I said, this is my strategy. So I just went and I started dating aggressively, is the only way I could tell you. I was on Tinder, I was on Bumble, I was on everything. And I basically said that anybody who, seemed kind, seemed fun, and asked me out on a date, I would go. So I went on 10 first dates. a few second dates, which were disasters, but 10 first dates, which were absolutely hideous. But it was fine. And it took me about 8 to 10 weeks, so about a date a week. And then eventually this wonderful man walked into my life. And I cannot tell you, well, I suppose it's after, encountering so many spooks, for want of a better word, just walked into my life and everything changed overnight. I straight away knew as soon as I'd met him. I said, this is it. This is him. This is who I've been looking for. It's just incredible. And he has 2 step kiddies. And I thought I would be single forever with never have kids, whatever. And now I have these 2 step kids. I have a ready-made family overnight. And now it's just going fantastically well. It's almost 12 months now and I've never been happier. So I just think, you know what, ladies? Wow. Believe in yourself, never ever settle, and just know in your heart that what is the best thing for you is out there, and chase that up to the end. And the best part of that fun fact is that lockdown kicked in the very next day after I'd met him. So there you are. I met my target.
Wow, that is awesome.
Right?
Yeah, because I swear to you, I had no belief. I said, this is it. Here I'll be on the shelf. I might get a little dust of pledge every now and again. But there we are. And then overnight, it's just happened. It's just incredible. And it only, I suppose, the best part of the fun fact was when I said to one of my partner's daughter the other day, I said, what would be a fun fact that you would say, would be about me? Lorraine, you have 2 amazing stepkids. What more do you want? Was the response I got. So there you go. So I thought I had to share. Yeah. It's a pity. It is a pity they're not here because they love the camera and they would love this platform. But yeah, so there you are. I just think, you know what, just believe in yourself and your heart, and never give up on what you deserve is what I would say.
Absolutely.
To all you ladies out there looking for love.
So when she responded to me in the email, she's like, this is my fun fact, but I don't know if this makes sense. And I'm like, you know what? Just put it out there. Because when the reason why I say she's a master manifester is because of those elements of taking a moment and thinking, this is not what I want for myself. What do I want for myself? And then taking the actions to put yourself up right in the position to where you can actually achieve that, which technically doesn't sound like business processes. But if you think about it, that's really what it boils down to, right? Like when we are looking at what we want for our business, right? And how we actually want to show up in the world, you do have to kind of take a second and think about what is it? This is not how I want to live my life. I don't want to live my life like stressed and like unmanageable and just like pulling my hair out and all those things. I want to have ease. And when it was funny because I was driving over here today and I have been working on business processes like, life. That's what I do for a living. I work on my business processes. And so I'm driving over here and this song kicked up and I was like, holy crap, everything's running smoothly. There are people who are in the incubator right now and they're working and they're good because I put processes in place for them to be able to do that. And we've done this show now so systemized that I can just kind of relax in this moment and sing at the top of my lungs in my car and just hang out with myself for a little while until I get to Peggy's house. And then when we get there, we'll go through our checklist of all the things that we need to do in order to get the show going. Holy crap, I could just enjoy this. So I turned the music up and I just really kind of let it have it because that's what it's about. So I love that Lorraine is a master manifester. It makes me happy when people are master manifestors because I believe we all have that power as well to be master manifestors. But what I want to kind of share with all of y'all right now is all about this here. We talk about in the show staying inspired. And as we're getting to know our co-host right now, Adil will join us in a sec. Lorraine is going to share a little bit about her journey to entrepreneurship. We've heard a little bit about how she has had her little journey to love, but like, how did you become an entrepreneur and what exactly can you share with us that will help us understand how you came into this journey of being an entrepreneur?
Sure. Well, I suppose I am a life and business coach, but my day job is actually in investment banking. But I have suppose I have been an unofficial coach for years with friends and family, and they're actually the ones who have said to me, you should really do this full time. You're so good. You listen, you give good advice, and you kind of give direction, and make us kind of solve problems for ourselves by asking the right questions, if you know what I mean. So I thought, something, when COVID kicked in last year, we had quite a few redundancies within our firm. And I thought, I really do need to put a plan B in place for myself in case the same should happen to me. So I thought this is a wonderful opportunity to go back, to retrain, and to do what I really, really want to do going forward in the future. So I used all of my vacation days last year because couldn't leave the house, couldn't go and do anything else. So I said, instead of sitting at home looking out the window at the stray foxes, I would find some courses to do online. And I found a really intensive coaching course to do, which I completed within about 2 weeks. Very, very intensive training. And then I went on to become a master coach in NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming. I know a lot of you will be familiar with that. And it also specialized in business setup. Now, that's not necessarily something I had ever really planned to do, was set up my own business. But I thought, you know what, after that, they gave us a little bit of guidance on it. And I thought, you know what, that's exactly what I should do, because I'm going to start my business small on the side and have that running alongside my day job, so that should, God forbid, the worst happened, if I did lose my job, I would have that to fall back on. And that's basically what I've been doing for almost 12 months now. I have my coaching business on the side. I see clients in the evenings and at weekends. Mainly, a lot of them are business clients, people who I suppose I would have worked alongside over the last 10 years within investment banking. They know that this is now what I do. And a lot of the clients I would see would be clients who I would coach typically who are struggling with motivation or performance issues at work, career progression, stress, anxiety, both in the workplace and in their personal lives as well, as a direct result of COVID. And I would help them to rebuild their self-confidence, their self-belief, overcome any negative emotions or limitations, and ultimately help them become the best version of themselves. And because, I know I'm based in London, but all of my consultations are now held probably similar to yourselves via Skype or Zoom. So I can now coach internationally. I coach clients in London, in the UK, in Dublin. I've also started coaching people in France and Germany, people who have lived here and moved, relocated or whatever. So I've just started speaking to a few people in Washington as well, who have heard about my website through friends or family or whatever. So I think one of the benefits of COVID is that it's opened up the world to us now, because everything is online. We can now, similar to ourselves. You guys are based in California, I'm in London, and we can now communicate on Zoom. I think we're now using those tools in a much more positive light from our own perspective, which is fantastic. But I just think it opens up the world for us and allows us to be able to do that internationally, which is wonderful.
Yeah, that's so I think that is probably the gift of the coronavirus. There were so many sacrifices that were made in order for us to have that gift. But
Yeah.
I think that ability to make the tribes unified is literally the best gift we could have gotten during this. And I'm so happy that you had the pandemic, because I feel like the pandemic just gave you so many gifts, so many gifts, with not only kind of really realizing where you know how to redo this so that you can have more reach. But it's just really inspiring to hear yet another story of someone saying, hey, the pandemic wasn't a bad thing for me. It was a good thing. Andre, did you want to chime in on Lorraine's story?
I love her story, but I love the manifesting part. I love that you're an NLP coach, master coach. So and I figured you were when you told me that story. You're like, no, I did this, this, and this. I'm like, I know this. I know what's happening here. I, like you and Lorraine, agree that COVID, for all of the travesty that it created for a lot of people this. I'm like, hey, Lorraine, where are you this morning? Oh, it's afternoon. Like, people that we're friends with in Australia now, South Africa, all over the globe, that I don't think I would have thought of before, right? Like, it just, it wouldn't have occurred to me. My world has gotten so much bigger. And when people go, well, we're opening back up, aren't you excited? I'm like, yeah, I don't know how to balance my virtual world and my real world. Like, oh no, what to do? Like, that is actually the bigger struggle now, is like putting in, remembering how much time it takes to go someplace and things like that, and commuting time. I'm like, oh, I got so much time back. So Lorraine got time back, new career, and a man. I don't know. She wins. Ding, ding, ding. Snap, snap, snap. I mean, she really. Well, I'm sorry. I should have said partner. But you've got a significant other, right? And so and a family with 2 kids who are like, hey, we're the best part of this whole thing. I mean, you win. I mean, you really, 2020 in your mind must be like, because you look at 2019 and thought where you were, and now you're in 2021 and you're sitting, you think, oh my goodness. I think for me, Monica and Peggy, we have transfigured, is the best word for it, into true business women. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, bona fide with the people. I don't know. I feel like I grew up in 2020. So
Yeah,
I
Peggy,
don't know
did
what
you?
you asked before, but I'm just all giddy because Lorraine is now part of the fold too. Yeah. So hi, Lorraine.
Oh,
Peggy.
I love your story, Lorraine. I love your fun fact. I have a very similar fun fact. We'll chat someday. But that is so exciting that you took the opportunity. Like, hey, I don't have to be in a box here. I can grow a new business, and I can do both. I can whatever happens next. You're in control instead of being at the whim. I feel like too many people, oh, my business closed down, I know what to do. And I figure it's because I've always been self-employed. I've always been an entrepreneur. So to me, it's like, well, yeah, just do something. like, um, but yeah, I think it's fun to listen to these stories, because if you would have told me in 2019 that I would be consulting and be doing a show and all this other stuff, I would have been like, nah, I'm behind the camera. You come into my studio, we'll talk. And it's funny how when opportunity comes, the people that are ready for that opportunity and jump on that. And that's exactly what you did. You're like, hey, I've got an opportunity here. I can't go anywhere. I might as well take classes. Let me see what I can learn. Let's grow. Let's do something. And that's exciting. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, so when we're talking about like hearing someone else's entrepreneur journey and what can I learn from their experience that I can take into my own so that I can keep moving forward because things are hard for me. I think you kind of nailed it in a couple of ways, right? You really did take an assessment of what it is that was happening, like, oh, and is this good for me? And then chose to do something about it. And I think that is that choice, that actual choice of wanting to do something different is probably the difference between you being where you are now and where you would have been had you just said, I don't like how I'm feeling and I don't like the way my life is. So I'm just going to complain about it. And I'm just going to sit here and wait until the universe brings me something. And Andrea's face is hilarious, but we know there are people who do that, right? Like, yeah,
I know. The image that went through my face, I'm so transparent. I was like, oh yeah, someone's sitting on the sofa eating, wondering why they're getting fat because they're like not moving. They're just like ice cream or whatever the fun food is, snacks. So you started saying it all like it's you. Like I was like, I heard them, I saw them. I was like, I was like, I wish I were on camera because I'm having an allergic reaction to this whole thing. But people do. I know
it's really a choice, right? Like you chose to make a difference in your life and you did. And so kudos, we applaud you. That so happy you're here. Welcome to the Mink Life universe where we will be here to crumble you up through that process no matter what. And so as we keep working through our our show here, because I'm supposed to keep us on the rails. I'm really horrible at it sometimes. But I want to help us keep networking. And so the question that we are going to answer about networking is really about when we talk about networking, we always talk about asking for help. And so how does focusing on your processes allow you to maximize your profits? But in doing that, also please let us know how or who can we ask for help during that process. So how does focusing on your processes allow you to focus on maximizing your business profits, and who can we ask for help to help us do that? I would like to start with Peggy this time, if that's okay.
Okay. So asking for help was a lesson that I learned in 2020 as well, because I can do it myself was my motto. And I found out that it is so much more fun to do things with help, and it's so much more efficient. So I say that I've never trusted anyone to, put my walls down and ask for help. However, I was, raised hearing always surround yourself with people smarter than you because they make you look good. And that's really what we need to do is don't be intimidated by somebody that's smarter than you or better than you. Like, run to them, grab them. and keep them close to you, because that's what's going to make you better. So, I mean, I always feel like I'm probably the kid in the back of the classroom, but I'm in the same classroom. We're going to the same place. So, surround yourself with all the people better than you, smarter than you, funnier than you, because then everyone just assumes you're that smart, you're that good, and you're that funny. So,
Andrea?
I don't know what else to say after that, because I would have said pretty much many of the same things. One, always being curious about how you can do something better. Lorraine, you hear me say, I'm the curious one. Every time Monica says curious, I don't know if you notice, she kind of like looks over it. Because I say it so much, well, I'm curious about that. So then she's now, what's the curiosity here? So between the two of us, if you're in the same room, you're like, oh, these two, what's wrong with them? But really, it was curiosity that launched the show. It was curiosity that really launched my interaction with Mink Life. And then just taking it to, I didn't know where it was going to go, but I was like, oh, I'm curious where this is going to go. So keeping going, right? And so that brought me into the fold and a community of people doing all sorts of different things, sort of modeling what I would want to do, maybe what I could do, and then me helping out in my way and whatever you add. And Peggy being like, well, everyone's going to think I'm smarter and funnier. Haha, she's such a character in saying something like that, because Peggy is very much someone who gets things done and models sort of like what persistency and consistency really is all about. And so you need a full deck of people to know, oh, I could get better. Maybe I should ask my friend how they're doing it, right? Or if you're both stumped, let's go find somebody new to make all the boats in the lake, all the tides will rise and everyone will flow out of the gates together. And so, I think you're always in the state of becoming in your business. I think you're always, if your business is something that intrigues you and captivates you, then you're always looking for ways to make it better. How can I streamline something? And that means, who do I need to know? Like, I guess that's naturally how I'm wired, because if I have a curiosity, I'm like, well, who do I need to talk to about that? And so, Peggy, to your point, I'm like, I have not a problem asking, but I think 2020 really made me sort of like, we're all here together. What do you want to talk about? Oh, yeah, let's talk about your business. Oh, you want to do a show? You want to do an online thing? Oh, yeah, I don't know how to do it. Okay, let's figure out how to do it. And look what we birthed, all of these different people. Like, each of us has a very unique 2020 lens to look through and to reflect upon the growth that was there, because we were curious, and we wanted to maintain some semblance of like life and normalcy, I think. So we kept going in the way that we could, and look at what it grew. It germinated into something pretty amazing. And now we're like, Oh, I have a virtual life and a real life. Oh, how do I
Lorraine,
negotiate that? So I definitely think that the communities were birthed because we were all in this curiosity place and curious to grow and things like that. And that has really enriched everyone's networks and our
for sure.
processes.
Look, Lorraine and I met at a networking event um, for someone else who was Farah networking. She was curious about like, well, I wonder if I can do networking better. I wonder if I could pool people together and help them build those relationships in a better way. And that has happened. She's pulling the world together. So Lorraine and I would have never crossed paths, right? Because she is very much in the UK and I am very much here in California, right? But that curiosity that you talk about, Andrea, is so real. I got goosebumps just thinking about it, of how following that curiosity and putting a process behind that curiosity for people uh, to enjoy the ride of curiosity that you're on is really useful. Lorraine, did you want to chime in on this question or what we're talking about?
Yeah, sure. I agree with everything all of you have said, actually. Definitely curiosity spurs on the whole entrepreneurial spirit, I think, because, if you rest in your laurels and you're kind of thinking, oh, what I have is fine and it works, then it's always going to stay the same. But if you're curious and you're trying to find new ways to do things, that's how, your entrepreneurial self is kicked into action, and you will find new ways to do things. I also think as well, similar to what Andrea said, you should never be afraid to ask the experts. Like, say, I don't know, you're IT and you're wondering about what to do with IT. Go to somebody who is an expert and learn from them. Ask them, and they'd be thrilled. I know if someone asks me for my expertise on something, I'm always happy to share. And people love talking about themselves and what they can do and what they can't do. So absolutely, ask for help where you can. In terms of how processes work, I say don't be afraid to review and change them up or amend or improve or whatever as well. Especially for someone like you, Monica, who loves your processes. I'm sure you're fully familiar with that. If something's not working, don't be afraid to change it or improve, and again, ask for help in that regard. But I mean, fully agree with that. So yeah.
Yeah, so I do it so often that I don't even realize that I'm doing it anymore. But every time I have an experience with anything, I then think about like, okay, how can that be smoother? How can that be better? How can I increase the efficiency of me being able to do that more often? Right. Even with the show, it wasn't a complete evolution. It's every week it changes and we add something and we tweak it and we try to systemize it so that it's easier for us when it comes to um, literally everything. But the crazy part, and this is why it's about keep networking, is so in our program we talk about networking is not just meeting new people, but it's also tapping into the people who are already where you are. And that means your customers. That means your the people who are working in your team. That means all of the people. And I ask so many questions. Talking about curiosity, right? I ask so many questions of every single person who touches anything that I do. How was it for you? What did you get from it? What did it mean to you? Where would you do it different? How could I'm pretty sure people are probably sick of my questions, but I ask so many questions because I want to make the most effective experience for people. I want them to enjoy it, to want to be there, to want to come back, to want to do it again. I want them to say at the end, that was fun. Let's do it again. Hopefully after you watch this show and us being crazy, you'll feel the same way. Oh, that was fun. Let me do this again. Right. But the idea behind processes and asking people to help you really curate the perfect process so that you can get things done consistently is so that you can have that fun experience because life is too short to do stuff you don't want to do. I almost
Mhm.
cussed. I almost said the other word. It's too short to spend time doing what you don't want to do and to work with people you want to work with and to just spend time in misery. And if you think about, most of us spend more time working than we do any other activity outside of sleeping. Well, I'm the only person who probably sleeps as much as that. But outside of sleeping, the only thing you're going to spend this much time doing is work, right? And so, if you're going to spend your time, it should be fun. It should be a good time. And your business processes literally can help you have so much fun. So you'll be singing in your car like I was on the way over here. All right. So I'm going to keep us moving along here. And we have done a really good job of, continuing to network and to keep things moving forward in this way. But I do want you to gain a little more knowledge about this business process topic that we're talking about today. So, ladies, I do have another question for you, if you don't mind. And that is, what is one tip? So you have to narrow it down. Think about it for a second. Narrow it down. One tip on how you can maximize your business processes. One tip. I know it's always hard, but I kind of feel like I know what these two are going to say over here. So let's start with Lorraine first. That way we can throw them off. They're rockers. They're going to answer probably their usual answers. But go ahead.
Well, very short and very sweet. It is something that just popped into my head because it's something that I suppose I would always have. I was a little bit of a nerd at school, even though I was down the back, like Andrea or whoever said it was earlier, down the back messing. I never stopped learning. And I just think, always be open to other people's opinions. And even, the janitor might make a comment to you that you might think, oh, I could use that in my business. Just be open and listen to people, but never stop learning. It would be my biggest tip.
Awesome. All right. So, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's go with Andrea this time.
Oh.
Andrea, you get to go next. Share your one tip.
So my one tip is in alignment with what Lorraine just said. Is you never. She took my tip and used curiosity. So I'm gonna go with
I'm very curious.
Ask for feedback. Right.
Yes.
So Monica said it a little bit before, but getting the feedback from your clients and, helps you always maximize your systems that you're putting them through. Are they enjoying that process? So really surveying and getting feedback on your systems, I think, is always part of your job as an entrepreneur. So.
All right. Peggy, you're up.
So I think it's kind of building on what Andrea said. Not just feedback, but put yourself as your customer. Like, come into your business as your customer. How does it feel to make an appointment with you? Was the process easy or hard? What was the problem with that? Was the delivery easy or hard? How was and really put yourself, like, be your own customer for a day and really walk through the whole process and find out where the little hiccups are and where the frustrations are, and then solve them so that when your actual customer goes through that, your actual client goes through the process, it's flawless because you know what it feels like to go through that process yourself. So that would be my one tip. Be your own client for a day and really find the process.
All right.
You thought I was going to say ask questions, didn't you?
They changed it up on me. Well, I will say is that be comfortable with failure. A lot of the time when we are looking at our business processes, we want everything to be just perfect. And I'm not going to launch this program until it's perfect. And I'm not going to do the show until it's perfect. And I'm not going to tell anybody that I'm doing it until it's perfect. And the reality is your business is never going to be perfect. right? And not only that, but how it becomes perfect, how it becomes that diamond of a business is by it being under pressure to be better. It's the process of people saying that's not good enough for me in order to pay you for that. That is a part of the process. So be comfortable with failing and fail forward and fail publicly as often as you possibly can, because what happens is every time someone says, I don't like that, you are that much closer to the next person saying, I love this. I love this, right? And so if you can get comfortable with that sucks, that is actually going to be the fastest way for you to maximize your business processes. So, with that said, um, I am sure that these ladies have some amazing things that they want to share with us about their businesses. So it is time for our announcements. So, Lorraine, we have had such a great time with you today. And having you come all the way across the pond virtually, jet setting to hang out with us. But I really do want to share with everyone how they can support you and be a part of your world. So, just tell us, how can we get in touch with you? How can they stay active with you? How can we be a part of your world?
Yes, of course. Well, I'm more than happy to share my website on the public chat here. You can also email me, Lorraine at Elevate Coaching. Elevate is spelled ELLOVATE coaching, all one word, .co.uk. I can also share my mobile number if that's easier to WhatsApp or whatever. And I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook as well. And I can share all the details in the chat, which is probably easier than spelling everything out for you. But I would be delighted to hear from you. And like I said, all of my consultations are now via Skype or Zoom. So more than happy to provide services transatlantically. And I would love to hear from you and also hear your stories, because that's what makes the world go round. It's what makes life interesting. So yeah, be delighted to hear from you.
All right. And Peggy, what about you?
You know, everything's about the wedding. Business is our business right now. I am doing the headshot strategist sessions, and they are just so going well. I'm really, really pleased with how my process is working. And you can find everything out about me at headshotsbypeggy.com.
Lovely. Andrea?
I just love the swish to each new person. So, I had you guys all meeting me in my virtual space, and I made I'm going to admit, I made a mistake in a process because I didn't understand the technology. So I am launching another Facebook group, and this one's public, and it's called, what is it called again? I just got the new name. I think it's Weight Loss and Wellness, a 360-degree approach. It's the new group. It's going to be the platform where I get to prattle on with all of my fun friends in the health and wellness world about how to live your best life and really live in a well body. That is launching probably next Monday. And so by the next time I see you on this channel, I'll have a link to that new group. And because I'm gearing up to start my fall classes and workshops. So all the details will be in that group. So please join us. And I really want to hear your thoughts about wellness. So that's what I got going.
Awesome. All right. So the best part about the announcements is we get to tell you what's happening in our community, our courses, and our conferences. So this week, we are really kind of diving in to the incubator. If you have not taken the opportunity to get to know the incubator, it is amazing. Peggy can tell you about that. Andre can tell you about that. They've been a part of it. But you're going to get to clear your list your to-do list by using timed and focused work segments. You're going to be free to do what you love by creating more time in your day. You're going to have all the support you need by working with a trainer, coworkers, or independently. And last but not least, you are going to make sure that no task is left behind by increasing your business management skills. I am so excited because we are at the end of the show today. But I want to leave you with the quote of the day, which is the better the process, the better the outcome. And no truer words, I think, have been spoken, although I did speak those words. So there you go. That's not narcissistic at all. And to help us really kind of get out of here, it's my favorite slide, of course, and that is the credits. So we are happy to be here with you every week. Thank you to my guest, Adil. We will catch you next week. We had so many technical difficulties, but we are going to have you on. And I want to remind you all that you have the power to activate the vision within. It has been my pleasure to be here with y'all today. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
See you. Bye-bye.